My name is the number 12, and welcome to another extremely quiet playthrough. This time of Super Mario World. I've been sleeping rather terribly, as you can probably tell just from the way my eyes look. Okay. So, my hope, through some bizarre logic, is that if I do one of these and play a game that I'm extremely familiar with, like, say, the second game I ever played, then maybe I'll feel a sense of closure and I'll be able to sleep better. Don't ask me what the heck kind of logic that is. I don't know. I'm just hoping it's right. I'll be doing an any percent no Star World run, so this should take me about an hour. And little bonus for you. Just for you. I didn't have to do this, but I'm gonna be using the PowerA controller. It sucks, but it's got really good clickety-clackity sounds. And the L button, you might remember, is completely busted. It never worked. But this game doesn't use the L button for hardly anything. I mean, it shifts the screen one way or another, but that's only useful if you haven't played the game before. So yes, you get some extra clickety-clackety sounds while I hopefully don't rage too much at the fact that I'm using a subpar controller. Here we go. This D-pad is terrible. Which is weird because it feels really nice. Like, it feels actually better than the original Switch Pro controller. It's just that functionally, for some reason, I can't figure out what's wrong with it. But, like, the inputs that it registers can be all over the place. And I found this out the hard way. You may remember when I was uploading my 9YMM level in Super Mario Maker 2. That was my debut of this controller, and I think it was the only stream I ever used this controller with. I realized there was simply more to life than trying to play a Kaizo level with a crappy controller. Oh my god, I almost hit that. If I hit that with this controller, I might have ruined the experience a little bit. I might have shouted. I may have dropped something. Alright. Of course, I still harbor thoughts of potentially doing this without taking a single hit. If this ends up being the run where that happens, I don't know what to tell you. I've made it, I believe, all the way to the sunken ghost ship, but no further. In this run, I won't really care one way or another. I'm just gonna get from the beginning to the end. I'll almost certainly have 99 lives by the time I do, because this game is not that hard. Oh my god, I got a yump with this controller. Are you serious? Well, I guess I'm just a really good gamer, I don't know. Maybe this controller is not as bad as I remember. Maybe after it collected all that dust, it thought about what it had done and decided to better itself. Okay, that might be a slight stretch. But I like to believe illogical things occasionally, even though I have Asperger's syndrome. And I like to default to Logos. There's still barely enough pathos in there to keep me human. Please break that brick, thank you. Until further notice, I'm just going to be doing the exact same things I usually do in my perfect run attempts. Of course, if it should come to pass that I died and have to play an entire level of Small Mario, I'll have to reassess. Because the thing about planning for a perfect run is that everything you do is under the assumption that you're fully powerful and that you haven't taken a single hit, because otherwise you'll just reset the run. So everything... What the heck was that, Yoshi? So everything on your itinerary is planned around you having a certain power-up. You don't plan for being Small Mario because if you were Small Mario, then you would have reset already. I'm doing a disservice by having the controller kind of under the desk. I need to have it a little closer to the microphone. Otherwise, why am I even playing with this piece of crap? Except, again, it's kind of playing... Yeah, that's just me confirming that L is busted. So the L button's not back from the dead. It might be performing a little better than I remember, but the L button is not back from the dead, unfortunately. Can't fix a dead button. I mean, maybe you can, but it's not going to just fix itself. And yeah, the controller came exactly like that. I got it straight from GameStop. And I think this video is literally the only reason why I still actually have it. As I said, it was gathering a lot of dust. Because I've got an 8-bit Do controller now. Which is much better. Completes the tasks that I set out for it without much fuss. The D-pad is almost identical. Well, it's based on the SNES D-pad, which is probably the best one that Nintendo's ever made. Oh, there's... Okay, yeah, this level kind of sucks for this controller. This is where the D-pad's phantom inputs really come in to screw you. Thankfully, nothing too bad there. I almost forgot to do that. Okay. Where was I? I was talking about the 8-bit Do controller. Oh yeah, the D-pad is made to be identical to that of the SNES, which is probably the best D-pad that Nintendo ever made. The D-pads pretty much have sucked ever since. Now, I never had a Nintendo 64 or GameCube, so maybe those had good D-pads, but well, the Wiimote was too small, really, to know for sure if it was good or not. And the Wii Classic controller is tiny. Like, my hands are... It was so not made for my hands. The Wii U gamepad wasn't too bad, but the Joy-Cons obviously are just 4 separate little buttons, and again, they're tiny buttons. And then the Pro Controller's D-pad was just trash. So to actually have something mimic the SNES D-pad in look and appearance, I mean in feel and appearance, is just a godsend. Recently I watched the newest, I guess not the newest anymore, but one of the newest videos from Rearez about classic and modern controllers. He wanted to focus on something called the Hall effect joysticks, which are basically just built to last. They're accurate and they'll actually last a long time before you have to replace it. Jump scare. And he listed a couple of other companies besides 8-Bit Do. 8-Bit Do was one of the ones he took a look at. But another company that, at least based on what he had to say, seems like it's even better is Retro Fighters, which doesn't sound like it'd be a controller company, but it is. And then there was a specific one that specializes in Switch paraphernalia. I don't remember the name of it, but it reached out to him. And he was skeptical at first, but then gave it a shot, and it was probably the best controller he'd ever played with. But I still don't regret going for the 8-Bit Do. I'm sure the 8-Bit Do will last me quite a while. And it's just great that there's these companies that exist that will keep me gaming for basically as long as I want to. I'm not going to do anything fancy this time. No shell jumps. Except I kind of have to now. That was bound to happen. Smooth. You know, the screenshot button placement, obviously, on this one is right by select. Hope that reaction wasn't too loud. I specifically went with this controller just for the added ASMR, and I don't want my reactions to ruin that. Some Zoomers would probably consider that funny, but I'm not a Zoomer. I'm a millennial. Though I didn't miss the cutoff by too much, admittedly. But I'm going to be 30 soon, and no Zoomer can say that. For added ASMR, I've got some peppermints. Roast House. As a kid, I always thought that said Roast House. I just could not see that as a G. Oh my god. It also doesn't help that the 8-Bit Do controller, the good one, has the buttons in a slightly different layout. So where my thumb is used to going to press select is actually where the screenshot button is on this one. Jackpot. Covered my mouth perfectly. Oh, what a shame. taken one hit, and that hit had absolutely nothing to do with the controller. It had everything to do with me just being silly. There's graphics that keep showing up on the voice mod app that are distracting me slightly, but whatever, I'll live. Shell jump time. Certainly isn't the easiest shell jump ever either, because you're trying to bounce it off of one block, but I can nail that pretty frequently. In fact, probably about 80% of the time, I'd say. Maybe even more, like 85%. There's a lot of ways to flex in old video games. To be fair, there's also a lot of ways to flex in modern video games, too. In old video games, it's never about the loot box luck you get or anything like that. Or the DLC, anything like that. Microtransactions are just, you pay for a game and you play the game that you're dealt and that's it. That's the end of the story. Sometimes gaming is at its peak when it's at its most simple, you know? No need to overcomplicate this. Of course, it's always nice to have software updates, so developers can let you know that, yes, in fact, they care about their product and any issues that are reported to them are swiftly taken care of. Like, that part of modern gaming is obviously a good thing. I'm going to go for more than I usually do just because this is a silly run. Nice. Oh, wow. Did you see that? The little shine on the Koopa shell actually slightly shifted directions. The Koopa shell flipped, even though there's hardly any indication of that sprite having rotated because it's basically round. But yeah, it flipped. If you have really good eyes, notice a single pixel. Or like 2x2 pixel. It's a 16-bit after all. This is a pretty simplistic looking game even by 16-bit standards, but of course this was this a launch title? I think it was a launch title for the SNES. I had to start somewhere. My favorite looking 2D Mario aesthetically is the All-Stars version of Mario 3. Although I say looking, because I can't say I'm too fond of the All-Stars 16-bit renditions of those songs. Some of them I am, but I feel like they added an instrument here and there that kind of didn't need to be there. And even though it's the rendition of those songs that I grew up with, because I didn't have an NES. I only had an SNES and a Genesis, but Genesis games don't play Mario, obviously. There's some bootlegs out there, but my mother was too smart for that. Yeah, even though those All-Stars versions aren't the games that I grew up with, I still probably generally prefer the original NES version of the soundtrack. Crap. Wow. I'm so used to the buttons. I have to delete all these pictures. Anyway, dead. I always had to brace myself for that as a kid. The shrill noise being one thing, but then also the fact that it gets close to you and then backs off. The Mode 7 graphics, which of course I didn't know anything about at the time. That qualified as a jump scare for me as a kid. That was pretty easy to get back then. And I'm not saying that I'm not easy to get now. It's just, you know, I'm too intelligent to just go into a horror game for the sake of getting scared. For the sake of scaring myself, like, okay, I'm just going to put myself in this fake situation where it's completely fictional, and the whole point is to startle myself for a few seconds and then go right back to my resting heart rate. You know, a day later, go back to my completely normal life and try to say to myself that that was some kind of experience that I had. I have died there before with really stupid results, so. If there's one part of my generation that I don't think I'll ever understand, it's their obsession and worship of the horror genre. See, that's where my Asperger's syndrome actually starts to kick in. G. That's where my Asperger's syndrome actually starts to kick in and demand that I process things logically. Just like, why would you do that to yourself? Why would you go in knowing that you're going to be faced with something scary, albeit fictional, doesn't exist, nothing is actually out to get you? It's like, why would you intentionally go to a pub and drink beer when it doesn't even taste good? I've had beer. I've had beer 3 times. I think it was a different one each time, and none of them were good. So guess what? I just don't drink. Easy solution. I never get drunk that way, and the sodas that I drink are unhealthy enough as it is. Why add something else to the list? That doesn't have that much to do with the horror genre, but I'm gonna, just say it anyway, because gently shooting the breeze like this is what you are here for, I think. Perfect. If you've been living under... Actually, I shouldn't say that. Didn't get it that time. I shouldn't say that you're living under a rock, because the last time Markiplier did his extremely quiet, or that's my thing, world's quietest Let's Play is what he does. Was quite a while ago. Mine is of course based on that, or inspired by that rather. So if you're here for Markiplier inspired gameplay, which is quiet, then you're here to actually hear me speak, because he speaks with incredible dulcet tones in those videos. Wait, I don't even know what dulcet tones means, I gotta be honest with you. I don't know the first thing about music, or like music technical terms. I did actually take a music appreciation class, so I can tell instruments apart, but that's about it. Oh, what the crap. Okay. Normally, that's an easy one up. Not this time. I must say that this controller is actually holding its own. I'm pretty pretty impressed. I wanted to do Super Metroid, but then I remembered that the L button actually serves a fairly important purpose in Super Metroid, so that's off the table for this particular controller. I really hope the clickety-clackities are working. Unfortunately, of course, I'm not using the analog sticks, and the analog sticks are particularly clickety-clackity. So I'll have to save those for just the end of the missions, or the end of the levels. Especially the right analog stick, which of course has absolutely zero purpose in an SNES game. The left analog stick, if you're a lunatic, can be used to move around in a 2D platformer. If either you're a lunatic or you're using one of these crappy controllers that has a bad D-pad. I have been told that PowerA is just not really a brand you should be looking for. The only brands that I knew to stay away from were Mad Catz and At Games. So now I know a third brand to not trust. At least I did know of, some that to stay away from, but I just didn't realize that PowerA was not much better than them. I mean, it is better than those two. I can't speak from experience, but from what I have been told about Mad Catz and At Games is that you can just feel how cheap they are. This at least feels like it was made by professionals. It's just not as functional as I would like it to be. It feels decent, though. I say decent, like it doesn't feel quite as polished as the official Nintendo controller, and of course not as polished as the 8-bit do one that I have now. But I can tell effort was made, just not enough effort. Trying to remember what part of the controller the button is. That would have been an extremely silly way to die. I would have been 496,000 exactly. I would have been tempted to just screw it and... Wait, is this where I do this? No, I don't think it is. I'm, like, so absent-minded right now. You've already seen my eyes. You've already seen the dark bags underneath them, so... No, it was. I was right the first time. The feather at least allows you to do this to the spike tops. I don't think they necessarily nerfed the fire flower, but they sure could have nerfed the cape. The feather is very, very useful in this game. But then again, Mario games have this fascination with their new abilities being probably a little overly utilized or overly useful. 3D World, Catsuit. Catsuit wasn't even my favorite from that one, it was the Tanuki suit. I found that to be more useful overall. And I'm not talking about the golden Tanuki suit either. Because that's for losers. Literally. Only for losers. It's the whole point of its existence. And the fact that it inspired no fail state in I am bread is a little sad. I will say at the very least that it's nice that they give you an achievement for cheating. Well, an achievement for sucking and then cheating. And of course that was present in Markiplier's World's Quietest Let's Play of I Am Bread, which I might do one of those as well, but with the good controller, of course. It would be completely unplayable with this thing because the L button doesn't work, and the L button is one of 4 buttons that you actually have to use in order to move. If all four of the trigger buttons, oops, aren't working, then you can't play that game. I said it would take me about an hour. It's clearly going to take me longer than that. Mostly because I'm not... Oh my god, that's a rare one. Can't remember the last time that happened. Bonk. Trick. Momentum keeping. Of course, that's using a lot of Kaizo hacks, which I have not played and don't plan on playing any of the ones that involve cape because I suck at cape. At least using cape for, specific, precise purposes. I have virtually no practice in doing so. But then again, Super Mario Maker exists. It won't have the same physics as the original Super Mario World, but at least I can teach myself how cape works. Make my own Kaizo level, make my own personal tutorial. I'm certainly thinking about doing so. Nope. Remember, the goal here is to practice as much no-hit strats as possible. That includes playing conservatively on these bosses. Okay. I say these bosses, referring to Lemmy and Wendy, which are the same boss, basically. Four more peppermints where that came from, if you're wondering. I should probably try to play a song with these. Or just, move the heck on and get this video over with quicker. I'm playing with my own bedtime after all. I believe I've gotten most of my yapping out of the way. Boy, that's a lot of saws up there at the top level. Usually you don't get that many. I don't know what triggers them. Sometimes I only have one saw up there at that section. It's almost like this game made in 1991 doesn't work very well or something. Thankfully, when it's one of these ropes, you don't have too much issue with, you know, D-pad inputs. This PowerA controller definitely is not as bad as I remember it. I have to give it a lot of credit. I guess as long as I'm not just trying for an overly complicated set of moves, like on a Kaizo level, even a relatively easy Kaizo level, like my 9YMM level, it just is not worth it. You need a really good controller to play Kaizo anything. Which I suppose makes sense in hindsight. Oh, that was embarrassing. Alright. It's okay. Oh, maybe it's not okay. I don't usually play this part of the level. That's the downside of, at least I'll turn me big. That's the downside of these, perfect run grinds. Is because of everything that I've said about how you don't plan on a certain, you know, event happening or you becoming small. You're completely out of practice for when you are small. So, this rest of the level will be interesting. Normally when I collect this item, it's a star, but I'm gonna have to make it a feather this time. That's basically a damage boost. My apologies to Yoshi, but thankfully nothing permanently kills him except for falling off the edge, and I knew that he wasn't going to fall off the edge, so I knew he'd be fine. Yoshi can tank anything. He is a reliable helper who deserves to be treated with admiration. The fact that Cape can just do that is just almost silly. Crap. Okay, I'm just gonna go through here because you don't save any time going through the secret bonus room. And look at my life count. It's already 73. I don't need any more bonus lives. I say that, but I'm about to get some more here. Anyway, I was hoping that that was a fire flower. That's too bad. That way Ludwig could go down in one hit. But anyway, here are the extra lives I'm getting. Number sign, totally not a monster. Alright, well, unfortunately, this one takes a little while. This is the pioneering boss fight where, you know, he gets into a shell and rolls around a little while. That would become ever so prevalent in other 2D Mario games. It more or less originated here. Of course, Mario 3 had something similar, but it didn't last. But when they did it, it didn't last very long. Ludwig in Mario World was the first one where, when you got into a shell, it actually lasted a while. That's why it's really nice to have a fire flower there, especially if you happen to be Sulfredo jogging, which I, of course, am not. But for those who are new to my stream, that means speedrunning. Why did it take me too long to join that? This isn't that important of a story or anything, but it gives me an excuse to keep yapping, so I'll tell you why. I used Sulfredo jogging instead of just speedrunning. There we go. It's a very short story. One day when playing Super Mario Maker 1, I was having a bad time, so I decided to play 100-man easy just to laugh at how insipid and like overly simplistic some of the levels that little kids make are. Because I'm a great person who loves insulting the young. One of the levels, made by an Irish boy, I assume, or at least a very young Irish person, was simply called Sulfredo Jogging. And my friend Keiichi runs into a ton of misspellings of speedrun on his stream, so I decided to just make Sulfredo Jogging my go-to replacement for the word speedrun. He had like speed run, supedo run, and the clip of him laughing at that word made the rounds so much that we got Speedo Ran Jam 1, 2, and 3 contests in Super Mario Maker that were based on that one clip. I clipped one where he didn't laugh quite as much, but I think the level title said Sped Room. Of course, now that I've been through a semester of learning Japanese, I understand how and why it's so incredibly hard for Japanese people to learn English. So we shouldn't laugh at them, but then again, it was a Japanese person laughing at other Japanese people failing at English, so that kind of gives us a pass in that exact situation. This should give me a 1-up. But in all seriousness, be like the whole life community, where when you see Japanese people attempting to learn English, no matter how far they have to go, encourage them. They're trying their best, and it is going to take them ages to master this silly language that I happen to understand pretty well. I wouldn't say mastered. Wow, that was terrible. Those of you who know me know that I am not one of those people who gains a lot from just abusing Yoshi for absolutely no reason. That was not intentional. I am, in fact, quite disappointed with myself. Whatever, that block can live. And normal, do not ditch Yoshi until Chocolate Secret. And when I say ditch, I mean I safely dismount him. If Yoshi falls down a pit on a perfect run attempt, the run's dead. Of course, this run was already dead, so... But surprisingly not many times over. I've only taken hits now on 3 levels. That flame, or that Potoboo was more accommodating than some. It's kind of up to crappy chance whether, or like what exactly happens to you with the fireballs around here. I love 1-ups. Compelling insight, I'm sure. Done. Quick reminder not to sleep on the usefulness of the fire flower. I can't get them to make the same sound. That's the only problem. It just, the ASMR will just have to come naturally. According to OBS, I'm already kind of breaking the microphone a little bit. I don't know how. I'm not making that much noise. So the microphone just is extra sensitive today. I don't know. Normally I'd have Yoshi with me here, of course. But hey, the fire flower is pretty useful. Well, my stated purpose at the beginning of the video is starting to work. I'm feeling quite sleepy. That's another fire flower. There's no feather in this level, I'm quite sure. Well, I'm gonna abandon you at the end. Actually, no, I can still use you. You do make the opening section of Chocolate Secret quite a bit easier, so. And this part's trivialized by the feather. I think you're just supposed to hold right and it's more or less a leap of faith. If there's one bit of bad game design in Super Mario World, that's probably it. Now we desperately want to get a feather here because it trivializes an otherwise annoyingly slow part of this level. Dude, wow. That, again, I can't blame the controller for any mistake I've made so far, I have to be honest with you. Give me that. Thank you very much. Okay, good. Still gotta be careful here. But not too careful, that's fine. And we're done. Why does it have me going halfway through the red on the microphone? I'm not making that much noise. I don't understand. Yeah, that other guy can live. If you flex too hard, it'll just end up screwing up and killing your run. Holy crap, what a dodge. I'm treating it seriously. Imagine if that really was a perfect run and I still kept that going that far. Imagine how hyped that would have been. But this is why I wanted Yoshi to be here. He makes this part a lot easier. A lot easier. And now I don't need him again for the rest of the map, or the rest of the game. You can tell... Oh, didn't mean to do that. Like, you can tell a fake Mario player. Well, that's too harsh. But, like, you can tell that somebody is, like, not a native Mario player if they call a level a map. You can tell that they were raised on games like Fortnite and, you know, multiplayer stuff, Call of Duty. Wow, okay, nice hit detection. You can tell that they're not native Mario players. Every Mario player refers to them as levels, because that's exactly what they are. It's always a little pet peeve of mine to hear these levels being called maps. Super Mario World is... Well, I can't say it's not multiplayer, because there is a two-player option available, but... It's not what you kids play all the time. I know, I'm old, decrepit, and I'm whining about the wrong things. They're not wrong to call it a map. It's just not the word I would choose to use. By the way, I'm well aware that you can spin jump on these grinders. I play a lot of Mario Maker, but it hasn't made me forget the rules in this game. I just choose not to because that's stupid. You shouldn't be allowed to spin jump grinders. Of course, really, spinning and jumping shouldn't give you any you know, real advantage or safety valve whatsoever. You know, why does it necessarily make spinning or jumping on a spike top any safer? I don't know. But, grinders are really pushing it. And, pot of booze as well. Oh yeah, here's enemies that they didn't adapt into Mario Maker that they easily could have. I mean, there's a small one and a big one. Just like how Mario Maker allows you to make small and big versions of any enemies, so... Don't really know why they didn't bother with them. These seem like very simple things to code into the game. Not to mention, of course, the hothead here is an item in Smash Brothers. So you can cater to that community, too. Smash Bros. Calls them stages, I think, not maps. Whoa, that was tight. I wasn't even necessarily trying to hit her at that point. I was just trying to avoid the polybo. Even though I knew that if I hit her, the polybo would immediately disappear. But, like, okay, hold on. I think what gets to me about calling a level in this game a map is that Mario games have maps. It's the world map that allows you to select a level. You don't select a map from a map. That's stupid. That's probably why I don't like it. This right here. This is a map. Alright. This is a map. Those little dots are levels. You can blame my geology degree if you wish. That's probably part of it, too. Or it's just my incessant desire to find fault with the younger generation. My incessant and illogical desire. Don't be like me, okay? Oh, God. Again, none of the mistakes that I've made have been the controller's fault. This is a good one for button ASMR, though. As long as I'm very adamant about holding the down button, nothing will go terribly wrong here. But you gotta be adamant, because this is where this D-pad can screw you over if you're not careful. Can't believe we're almost on Bowser World and none of the deaths have been the controller's fault, or mistakes. I don't think I've died yet. Unfortunately, this level's no longer nearly as fun as it would be if I still had the feather. Heck. Whatever. Orb. Oh, we're getting close to accomplishing the objective. I don't know why I thought I could do this whole thing in an hour. The difference between Silfredo jogging mindset and perfect run mindset is vast, apparently. That was interesting. I'm glad people learn to agree that the mega moles are actually super cool. Normally, of course, by now I'd have the feather and I can just blast my way through them, but that's not going to happen here, clearly. I am very sleepy. This run's intended purpose is working quite well. That was almost incredibly negligent. Nope. still going for these coins for the 1-up when I'm already maxed out? Some questions just will never be answered, I'm afraid. Get hecked. What will this turn into again? Just another... Oh well, it's better than nothing, I guess. Better than a 1-up. I'm almost tempted to go into the back door. Just to get this over with. That was actually unintentional. I meant to just stay on the block. But extra cool points for me. And I lost them all in one fell swoop. Trying to regain them with a shell jump. That didn't work. Why did I even press? I didn't know what's in that block. Do I go for the back door? I mean, I haven't practiced that fortress in ages, and I know I had a nightmare of a time on that level as a kid. I'll just remain loyal to the route that I've already picked. Although that level is a precision level, which means that this day and age it should be no problem for me at all. Need I remind you that I'm the creator of Beast Noodle Zero. Congratulations again to Duretti for being the first and so far only person to beat that level. Since it was pretty much my only level to have any real publicity whatsoever, I'm not surprised that it was beaten in a pretty reasonable amount of time, you know, before it would become a target for Team 0% or something like that. I do have another one of my levels that might become a late game target for Team 0%. Or at least I haven't checked on it in a while. I'm pretty sure it's still uncleared. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. What the heck? Okay, that's not how that usually works. But I will take it. I still haven't died once, and I guess that's the goal from here on in, is just don't die. Do I really? Fine, whatever. I should have tried to... I should have sabotaged this. Alright, here's the last of my apparently extremely loud wrappers. Man, I cannot wait to get to bed. Mostly because I'm tired of sitting on this chair. Final Woast House. Blip. I just love that these random green O's are actually killable. Don't take that out of context. It does not paint me in a good light. Does it? I'm going to assume it doesn't. Still don't have a feather, so no pointless distractions here. This is where this D-pad can screw me over, so I'm being extra careful. Crap. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We're taking the long way. I don't think that was the controller's fault. It might have been, but I'm not positive. Like that actually did feel like that I actually screwed that up. So amazingly, no real complaints about this other than the fact that the L button didn't come back from the dead. I've almost completely forgotten how these levels work. But at least this way we get our feather back. Took us a long time, but we finally have our main power-up roster restored. I mean, actually, nah, I remember these levels pretty well from when I was younger. It's just that I haven't played them in a long time with any real seriousness. Still can't believe that the athletic theme is back in Valley of Bowser. I believe it's the only level in the Valley of Bowser that doesn't have just the standard underground theme. Apart, of course, from the castles and the ghost house. Fun. Fun level. There's almost no level in this game that isn't fun. I mean, things like this could be argued till Kingdom Come, but it really does feel like Super Mario World was the moment where we, as a human species, officially learned how to perfect the 2D platformer. Like, I feel like this became the measuring stick for 2D platformers everywhere. As good as Sonic 1 was, which was the 4th game that I ever played. Crab nuggets. Okay, that worked out. That wasn't the most fun I've had so far, that's for sure. I had a great deal of fun with Sonic 1, but I do believe that I generally preferred this. Maybe because this game was easier. Sonic 1 is a fairly difficult game, which I'm not knocking it. It's just that as a kid, I probably preferred this because it was a little easier. You know, this day and age, I look at difficulty as a real selling point. I mean, I love a good challenge. Otherwise, I would never have even considered making Beast Needle 0 or going for the perfect run of VVVV. Those two accomplishments are definitely 1-2 in my gaming repertoire or resume or whatever you want to call it. But I mean, the fact that I've done such things as a gamer is, you know, that's my main source of pride. That's what keeps me going. Why I don't think I'll ever get bored with video games, because there'll always be something for me to achieve. Even though, you know, I keep saying, like, maybe my best days are behind me. I can't prove one way or another that that's the case. I think I'm still probably as good as I ever have been, generally. But I'm not sure. But that day will come when I'm no longer as good as I used to be, because I'm just not mentally sharp. And when it does come, I'll just set my sights on other things that are more achievable. presumably in, you know, a newer video game that has just come out. You know, as long as video games keep coming out, there'll always be something for me to achieve. It won't all be as hard as those two things that I mentioned, but as long as it's something for me to shoot for, then by golly, I'll go for it. Oh, come on. This could be my death. I'm gonna play this very safe. Crap. I forgot that he actually does very slowly inch his way back toward the middle of the platform if you don't hit him more than once. Okay, we got Bowser's Castle as Small Mario. What do you think my chances are? I'd say they're decent. Because the thing is, every final level of every game, you're just going to naturally know like the back of your hand. Because it's the final level. It's going to leave the biggest imprint on your brain. Only thing I'm thinking right now is, do I keep the credits going? Excuse me, after. I think yes, just because the credits are so iconic. Right, that was the one up. I can never remember which is which. This is the feather. This is far more important, obviously. I just can't believe that this controller held its own so well. I'm gonna have a no-death run with a PowerA controller. I guess I'm pretty good at Mario. Why in the world did I say that out loud? I mean, quietly, of course, due to this, you know, the title of this video, but still, I did say it, which is a really poor decision, given my track record with when I say things out loud. I will not be giving Bowser any undue disrespect. I will be focusing entirely. I will not be doing anything overly flashy. Goal is to beat him up. Good start. I do think that as much as I absolutely adore this game, and how it was a great place to start, well, after Super Metroid, of course, I do find that this is a pretty overrated fight. It's just, I don't know, it just feels like it's quite slow-paced. Of course, it's 1991, you can't expect much better than this. Now that I think about it, I guess this actually is a pretty cool fight. It's one of the first multi-phase battles in gaming history. It's just, you know, looking back, it's not really that awe-inspiring. But I do remember, at least I'm pretty sure, that my heart did beat when I fought him as a kid, so it served its purpose at the time. Maybe it's not overrated. Maybe I'm just a jerk. I mean, it certainly packed a whole heck of a lot more punch than the ones in the bosses in Mario 1, 2, and 3. But of course those were NES, so that's to be expected. Okay, good. My overconfidence did not lead to my downfall this time. We're good. We got a no-death run on a freaking PowerA controller, and just to prove it, there it is. You can see it. PowerA. And I already proved the L button is busted, so... Alright. I'll just sit in this chair as long as I can. And hit the stop recording button as soon as we see the thank you at the end. I'm pretty impressed with that. I am pretty impressed that I managed a no-death run of Super Mario World with the PowerA controller. Not as impressed as I was with VVVV, of course, but... Now the real question is, can I do that in the Mad Catz controller? I don't think I can. I don't know if there's any Mad Catz controller that would actually play Super Mario World, because I think they went more or less out of business, like around the Wii U era. So they wouldn't have a bootleg Wii U gamepad or a bootleg Switch controller. And I don't think they made bootleg, well, I said bootleg, it might as well be, third-party SNES controllers. I don't think you can play this game with a Mad Catz controller, but you know, I could always be wrong. But I feel like they hit their heyday like in the PlayStation, like GameCube and Sega Dreamcast. Well, it was working, but this credits is just so iconic and so joyful and so nostalgic that it's starting to bring me back, you know, more conscious, which is unfortunate. But I'm sure if I played Super Metroid, the same thing would happen, so I'm screwed either way. It's just too nostalgic. I've said a few callous and curmudgeon things during this playthrough, but I do want you to know that I absolutely love Super Mario World and the SNES. How could I not? Gotta bring the present in with the past. It's a rule. Once you hear that joyful little refrain, you have to pet something. Thank you for being such a good prop, Mini Sparky. I hope if nothing else that was worth it for you. Of course, that makes me even less sleepy, so... I'll find a way to get to bed. If nothing else, the discomfort I feel right now sitting in this chair so long should at the very least make the bed feel even comfier than normal. It's comfy. It's a comfy bed. I'm not even going to put this on YouTube tonight. I'm going to wait until tomorrow. Hope everybody had a good Pie Day. And I hope everybody has a good St. Patrick's Day coming right up. Just remember what I said. Just because it's St. Patrick's Day, don't feel the need to drink beer because it doesn't even taste that good. At least to me. So even though I'm part Irish, I will not be partaking in such activities. I am an adult. I can make my own decisions. That includes sound decisions. Speaking of sound decisions, I hope you enjoyed an extremely quiet playthrough of Super Mario World. I will see you in the next video, which is most likely going to be another repost from the past. And apart from that, I don't know. I'm an amateur when it comes to this kind of stuff. YouTubing and Twitch. This was never my whole life's work, which is why I don't have a proper schedule for anything. So I can't really promise you anything. But this probably won't be my last video ever. I'm making everything worse. Bye.